Hello everyone, welcome back to another Transformers review. As you can see, I'm doing one of the Transformers I got in my previous hauls, the large haul, not the last one but the one before that. A really great bot. Now it's of course one of my favourite characters anyway, it's Soundwave from the Prime line, but not the greatest alt mode, I will grant anyone in saying. It's based on something like a Predator, sort of like unmanned UAV kind of machine, basically a radio controlled sort of spy plane. I believe they're developing larger ones that are actually armed as well to save sort of the risk of pilots' lives in going into sort of dangerous areas and taking out the bad guys, so to speak. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird alt mode, though to be fair I've seen the Beast Hunters version of it on YouTube, and compared to that this is actually quite sane. Basically I'll give you a little 360 of the actual vehicle mode as such. Like I say, a little bit weird, it's a little bit more accurate I suppose towards the front, and the tail's not too bad, but the wings, well, these fingery parts at the ends look a bit weird, and to be honest there's a fair amount of kibble, which is pretty obvious that it's sort of robot kibble underneath, but not bad, you know, it's not horrendous. So it comes with a little fold down front undercarriage but no discernible rear undercarriage. One thing I did notice, where you've got the laserbeak companion with Soundwave, I've sort of like figured if you just turn his sort of wing parts down like so, it does at least give it a little bit more of a tail section. Doesn't really add much to it, but I just think it makes it look a little bit better. But anyway, folding them back up to where they're supposed to be, that's your basic Predator spy plane, whatever you want to class them as. It has got some neat little touches, a little bit of sort of pinky purple colour here and there, some reasonable moulding detail in the panelling, but yeah, pretty basic. Now whether or not it's on the instructions or not, as I say, I got this at a boot fair so I don't have those, but I've noticed as well, if you detach Laserbeak you can actually mount him via his little peg underneath onto the hole, onto the back of Soundwave. So again, you can give him a little bit more of an unusual look, almost like a piggyback plane mode. But yeah, it's just another, again, just a little weird way of displaying him if you want to display him in vehicle mode. Giving you a little look at Laserbeak while we've got him off. Doesn't really have much, if I get that to focus, doesn't really have a lot of relationship to the G1 version of Laserbeak. I would say actually this resembles more Ratbat as an actual alt mode, but failing that, you know, I would say, well, another, again, it's just like a remote drone. Would have been nice if there had been a little bit more of a paint app and a little bit more of an actual head at the front, would have been quite nice. Again, would have made it a little bit more laserbeaky from the G1 era. But like I say, paint that purple and I think you're reasonable at thinking that's more like Ratbat. Anyway, I'll put him to one side and we get to Soundwave's transformation. Now, pretty simple to transform. Basically you've got to release the wings, which are just pegged in to the sides like so, and they swing out of the way, and you can just sort of fold them out of the way to start with. Then you've got a break in the fuselage all the way along the main section, which you just need to divide in half. Now turning it round to the robot side, you need to fold away the little landing skid, which just goes up like so, and then just dividing these sections out and round to bring down the feet details. Now I'm not sure whether these are supposed to be folded up to the back like that, but that looks a little bit kibbly. So what I tend to do is bring them down behind to make a bigger heel spur, make it a little bit more stable when you're standing him up. So again, just showing you from that side, you just got to bring the toe down, which is the grey part, and then just sort of just neaten these bits up just to make a foot. Now that's pretty much the legs done. There is some knee articulation in two places there, but he's pretty much a figure you're going to end up probably just standing up straight anyway. Now that's basically his lower half done, which is, again, like I say, a very basic transformation. To transform the arms, these parts which are double hinged, which were the wings, you just need to fold up and lock in like so, and they just literally just sort of clip in by hooking into the top of the chest. You then can release these wing parts, which are on a little pin in the corner there to that little notch, and that allows the arms to swivel round and come down, and effectively creates a kind of an elbow joint. I'll let that focus in. Effectively makes the elbow joint. Now, to give him a little bit more of a menacing sort of look, he's also got a hinged pin joint there, so you can swing the forearm in, so it gives him another sort of vicious sort of look to his arms, a little bit like the way they've done the Viacon. So with just a little bit of fiddling around just to position that, you can get it in a pose that you like. And again, just swinging that round and just releasing it. They're only literally just clipped together, and it's very easy to actually transform, so it's not too difficult at all. Now the last thing, because as he looks at the moment, he looks a little bit like a G1 cone head, so what you've got to do is flip back, which is effectively the tail section of the jet mode, and as you do so, I'm holding it in actually at the moment, but as you do so, his head pops out on a spring like so, and then all you have to do is swing the cone down and pop that back section in, which just locks in nice and firmly on its own. Now, as a bot mode, it is a little bit unusual. It's not quite the standard Soundwave from like the G1 era, but then in some respects, you know, there's a re-envisaging of the character for a more modern time. It's not bad at all. Like I say, you've got to just sort of fiddle around with these feet parts. As you can see, like I say, I just make up a larger heel spur with those back pieces to neaten them up. Now, of course, harkening back to his G1 era, laserbeak, rather than being a cassette, because obviously that wouldn't work with this alt mode, of course you take the pin and you fit it into the hole on his chest there, and that just clips in. Oh, if I get that in there, it's just a little bit temperamental. There we go. It just clips in like so, and then you just need to fold, if I can get that in shot without my fingers, you just need to fold the wings up and back, and these wings tuck away nicely and become part of the shoulder. And I think that part alone really makes this figure. It, like I say, harkens back to the original era where Soundwave had laserbeak, or buzzsaw was the other version, built into his chest, because of course he was a cassette player, and they of course transformed into cassettes, along with Rumble Frenzy, Ravage, Ratbat, and I'm trying to think now, Slugfest and Overkill. Yeah, really like that. Really nice sort of touch to incorporate that kind of chest launching capability. And I do like the actual envisaging of him in Prime. The way he's silent still kind of gives him that menacing ability that the G1 kind of had in his more monotone robotic voice. But yeah, I really do like him. He's got a good face sculpt, even though of course it is just a visor. It's nicely picked out with a little bit of silver at the top. And there's nice little touches, you know, a little bit of black on the laserbeak sort of part of his chest. It all adds to it, and a nice little bit again of the kind of, what would you say, highlighted pink picked out on his sort of crutch area, and you know, all these little bits of black all touched in. It sort of blends the figure nicely together. Now the other thing, of course, in robot mode, he has of course got holes in his hands, well, hands as such anyway. Not the greatest of detailing there. I would have quite liked to have seen a little bit more, less sort of spindly fingers, just had them a little bit shorter, like I say. I think they would have blended into the wing a little bit better. But of course, because he's got that, you can of course position his arm, and if he releases laserbeak back out of his chest, you can of course set laserbeak onto his hand, which again harkens back to that kind of G1 era where in a lot of the cartoons laserbeak or Ravage would sort of pop out and sort of sit in companion with Soundwave, waiting to be given orders and that. So yeah, again a really nice little touch that they built that in, because of course they could have just given him a gun and sort of just had a weapon in his hand. So it's quite nice that he's ready to launch laserbeak, ready for some spying mission. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little look at a Prime figure. I know it's quite a common figure and a lot of collectors do already have this guy, but I thought he's one of my more favourite characters, and I did like the toy, so I thought I'd just do a little review of him. So anyway, thanks for everybody who's watching, and anyone who's seen my other videos as well. Please feel free to subscribe if this is the first video you've seen. I've got a lot of G1 reviews going back through my channel if you want to check those out. We'll obviously intersperse them with toys such as like the Prime line, and I'm sure at some point if Beast Hunter stuff starts coming through and I can pick it up, I shall probably get some of those, especially the more Predacon Dragon type ones, as I feel they've got a little bit more uniqueness to a toy line rather than just the same old car churned out with a different bit of modification on it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I shall see you again for another Transformers review.